Hi, I'm Linda Mao, and welcome to Art This Week. On this week's episode, we visit the San Antonio Museum of Art and speak with Chief Curator Dr. William Rudolph about the museum's exhibition, Matisse, Life in Color, Masterworks from the Baltimore Museum of Art. Now for Art This Week. Hi, we're here with Dr. Rudolph at the San Antonio Museum of Art at the Matisse Life in Color exhibition. And we're standing in front of the yellow dress painting. So if you could tell us a little bit, first off, this entire exhibition is based off of the Cohn collection out of Baltimore.
Yes.
So how early on did the Cohn sisters establish a relationship with Matisse?
The Cohn sisters were sisters from Baltimore who took a chance on what was then contemporary art. They had been inspired to collect art by family friends, Leo Stein and Gertrude Stein. She's the great modernist writer who said, "A rose is a rose is a rose." And they journeyed to Europe where they met a number of artists and formed quite a bond with Henri Matisse. This was very early, right around the First World War, and the relationship stretched almost to the entire first half of the 20th century. And they bought from numerous artists, including Picasso, Juan Gris, but Matisse was really the artist with whom they had a great deep rapport. And this work in particular was intended for them. So from the beginning, when Matisse began working on it, he knew it was going to go to them. He called them his ladies from Baltimore. And the work gave him a little bit of a fit in the sense that, although it seems so simple, a woman seated in an interior wearing a yellow dress, it's not as simple as it looks. And Matisse really chewed over how to do this and actually wound up walking away from it at one point and then returning where he was able to finish it. And you can see, for example, that the dress isn't totally yellow. There is green in it, there's a little bit of blue, and what was interesting is that it went through multiple versions, which are seen all around us in particularly drawings, preparatory drawings for the finished work. And what's fascinating too is that the Cohn sisters wanted those as well, because they wanted to be able to see how, in one, for example, he changes the position of the arms, or he thinks, what if the composition is horizontal instead of this more narrow kind of thing. So it's fascinating to me that part of their journey with Matisse was not just about the destination, but
the process.
The process, well. Exactly.
Well, it's very obvious throughout the whole exhibition with the works on paper, the works in sculpture, the works on painting, that he really did explore these themes in a variety of mediums. So this is a good way to kind of culminate that, and I can see why the Cohn sisters would be so fascinated by that. All right, we're here in front of Matisse's Pink Nude, and if you could go into a little bit about this, the figure has always been pretty central to his exploration,
yes.
But this is much more complex and has a complex history and backstory, so if you could share a little bit about that. Absolutely.
As you said, it looks so simple. It is a large pink nude, reclining in space with a very limited palette. It seems like a very simple form. You see these very strong contour lines that define the figure, and then the great expanse of this sort of shocking carmine color that rivets our attention. And it looks as if Matisse just did this so quickly, but he didn't. It actually went through about 20 different stages, and Matisse documented this. So he started with a much more elaborate image of a nude with more facial features, reclining in space with a still life element. And as he went through, every choice he made, he photographed. And he would take pieces of paper where he had potential changes to the composition and pin them to the surface of the canvas and work his way through. And slowly, like a collage, it became simpler and simpler and more reduced. You sort of layer things to make it simpler in many respects. And he wound up with this. And visitors to the exhibition can see those photographs, which we exhibit reproductions of them in our Great Hall. But Matisse actually did exhibit them when he exhibited this nude because he wanted the public to understand that an artist makes choices and that something so deceptively simple is actually not simple. So, you know, something like the large reclining nude, or Pinky, as the Baltimore Museum of Art calls her affectionately, so we've adopted that. You know, sometimes people see modern art and they say, oh, my kid could do that. And I'm sure Matisse heard that in his own day, and by showing photographs, for example, or studies like he did with the yellow dress, Matisse is saying, that's actually, you know, your kid would have to go through a very long process of choices in order to get to something that looks so easy. But he wanted to share that information with the public. For Matisse, art was a celebration of life and beauty and emotion, but it wasn't a mystery. It wasn't supposed to be off-putting or some secret. He wanted to share it.
Well, I think that's evident in the sequence of the exhibition, because you start out with his academic works, where you can see that he does have this academic background, and then he kind of explores it. And I think with this piece in particular, it kind of echoes back to some of the older sketches or the sculptures that are reminiscent of Michelangelo's tomb with the day and night figures.
Yes.
So is that kind of based on that similar figural model?
Absolutely. From the beginning of his career, as you said, Matisse is fascinated by the body, but he's also fascinated in learning from other artists and how other artists have represented the body and conveyed the way the body can have meaning. Auguste Rodin fascinates him, Michelangelo fascinates him, Jean-Auguste Dominique Eng fascinates him. He learns from other artists, yet at the same time, he ultimately finds a way to make his vision of the figure his own. And I think Pinky here really does sort of, it's hard not to look at this and think that no one else but Matisse
It's unmistakably Matisse.
could have done something so bold, yet so simple, so aggressive, yet so inviting. It's quite a wonderful tightrope he walks here. And I'm so glad that people this summer will get the chance to walk the tightrope with Matisse.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us and
Thank
explaining
you.
it so beautifully.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We want to thank William for speaking with us. For more information on the exhibition, go to samuseum.org. That's it for Art This Week. Thanks for watching.
I still got your Polaroid. The thought of you I can't avoid. Sitting